Hi, today we're going to take a quick look at the Flockport Build System. The Flockport Build System packages apps and containers. All the apps in the App Store are built and packaged using the Flockport Build System. It's extremely flexible and powerful and can be used to build complex and multi-tier applications. The build system uses recipes. Recipes define the steps to package an application. You can run builds directly from the UI. For instance, enter a GitHub URL and the Flockport build system will consume the repo and build a container. All Flockport installations have a build folder, and in this folder you'll find the recipes for all the applications in the App Store. You can build them yourself if you want. A build folder will typically have the recipe, any assets required for the build, like configuration files, and anything you need to copy to the container for the build. Today we'll take a closer look at a recipe and show you how it works. For this demo, we'll look at the WordPress recipe. Recipes use keywords. The main ones are name, from, env, copy, and run. So in this case, we can see the recipe file. So we'll just open it. So name is the name of the container to build. From is the container the build will use as a base to build your new container. Env defines any environmental variables required for the build. Copy copies any assets required, for instance configuration files for the application, to the right locations. Run actually defines the commands required to build the application, and you can have multiple run commands. In this case, we are building a WordPress application from scratch. WordPress will be downloaded, configured, and connected to a database instance, and we'll be able to access the WordPress instance in our browser. This is completely automated and shows the flexibility of the build system. You will also notice the DB keyword in the WordPress recipe. The DB keyword spins up a database instance for the application. You can define the database, the DB name, and the DB user here, and the build system will spin up a DB instance and link the app to it. You can also build a single container with the database in it. In this case, we simply change the base container to PHP 7 and M. M here stands for MySQL. The Flockport build system provides the building blocks to build various applications. To start a build, you simply run the Flockport build command in the folder containing the recipe. Once you run the command, Flockport will start building the recipe. This usually takes a few minutes, so let's do that. So in this case, we will run the Flockport build command on the WordPress folder. So we're just making sure there's no WordPress instance already available with the same name, in which case the build will not work. So once we run the command, Flockport will start building the application. Once the build is complete, we will have two instances, the WordPress instance and the database instance. So let's wait for the build to complete. This process will download the application and configure it for access in a browser. This slashes configuration complexity and gives you repeatable builds across environments. Once the build is complete, we'll run ps to show us the containers, and then we can now access the WordPress instance on its IP. So the build is complete. We can see the two instances have been created. So let's access, we can see the WordPress IP. So let's access it on the browser. So we'll complete the installation to show you it works. So once we've finished, we can log in and access the WordPress instance. So let's complete the setup. Once we complete the setup process, we will be able to log in and access the WordPress instance. So we'll enter all the details, we'll copy the password, enter the email, and install WordPress. So we can see the installation is successful. We'll now log into the instance. And we can now access the WordPress dashboard. We can see the instance is working perfectly, and the build system has completely automated the setup of an application from scratch, so end users can directly access it in their browsers. So this adds a lot of simplicity to the process. Thank you for watching. You can watch more Flockport demos on flockport.com and here.